Hey everyone, happy Friday. The time right now is about 9:05 p.m. here on Friday, the 28th of January. It is our third chance to see snow here in Charlotte in 3 weeks. The first time that has happened since 2000. If you look over on the other side of your screen, you can see that we do have active radar right now. Starting to see that changeover in a few spots from rain to snow. Now, it's starting in a few areas of the Piedmont. I did just come in back to work from my dinner break there from just south of Charlotte. We were starting to see some of those tiny little, raindrops start to change over maybe into a little bit of a mix, but really not much more than that in Charlotte yet. But if you are seeing something different in your backyard, tweet us. Tag us on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff with your photos and videos. But of course, while we're not seeing a lot of activity right now, a different story up in the mountains. And actually, that's where our chief meteorologist, Brad Panovich, is right now for Winterfest up in Blowing Rock, where they've seen pockets of heavy snow at times. And so I think if we're good to go on that connection there, we're going to send it over to Brad and kind of see what he's been seeing and what he's kind of excited to maybe see for the rest of the weekend. And I just want to let everyone know that if you have questions, comments, concerns, we can kind of take those closer to the end of the video. But yeah, so at least for now, we of course are just seeing a few areas of snow popping up across areas of the Piedmont. I'll zoom in a little bit for you so you can kind of see a better look at what we're seeing right now in the mountains. You can see areas in Caldwell, Burke County starting to see a little bit of a snow mix in. Of course, the areas in the highest elevations of the mountains seeing the best potential for snow with the system. A little bit of a lesser activity pretty much once you get to the foothills. Anywhere close to that county line when all is said and done could see upwards of maybe a touch above 2 up to 3 inches, but that's going to be really the exception, not the rule. And then you can see as we look a little bit further there toward the south, areas of rain, of course, being picked up. We have some snow and a little bit of a mix being picked up as well. So we will, of course, continue to watch that heading through the rest of this evening and overnight. So here's a look at the latest snowfall potential map. You can see we are seeing 4 to 6 inches again for areas of the mountains, foothills, a little bit less than that. You can see that line is pretty much right on Ashwaubenon and Avery County. For the rest of the Piedmont, of course, 1 to 2, a few spots of 3. You can see mainly on the east side there of Charlotte, and then a trace to an inch if you're on the western side there of Charlotte, areas such as York County, Chester County, Lancaster County, western parts there of Chesterfield counties, and even there up toward Cleveland County, likely a trace to an inch too on the west side of Lincoln County, Catawba County, Gaston County, all those good places. So, of course, the Piedmont likely getting 1 to 2 inches, which would be the third time in 3 weeks. And one of our very own digital executive producers, James Brierton, who loves, loves, loves weather, is out in Matthews. So we're going to toss it over to him just to see kind of what they're seeing over there. I know a lot of people on the eastern side of Charlotte, of course, maybe near Matthews, Concord, all those places are looking forward to seeing snow again, James. So what's happening?
It is still rain here just outside Matthews on this Friday night. Now, of course, Brittany, you remember this time last week, it was snowing and I had my sled out. I was ready to go. But if you actually, that was great. You just caught that there. There is just pure water falling from the sky right now. And it is pooling on things like my sled. And I am watching my gutter off here to the side. What I'm thinking about as we are continuing to watch this rain as the precursor to the snow is how slick all of these surfaces around me, that residential street behind me, are going to be once we get into those freezing temperatures. But what a contrast from just a week ago, where when I was out here last Friday night, we were getting an inch of snow an hour. Now we've just got the rain. And as somebody who's lived in Charlotte a couple of years, Brittany, I'm cautiously optimistic that this rain will turn over to snow.
Yeah, we're still expecting that, James. All the temperature profiles support it. And I'm seeing a lot of questions actually being popped up on the chat about where is Brad? I know I'm not Brad. You are not Brad. He's the
I'm not
best.
Brad. No.
But he is actually in Blowing Rock. He's at the Winterfest up there in Blowing Rock this weekend. And so, that's why we're kind of covering this. And he's been really excited, tweeting and, Facebooking a lot of pictures and videos of the snow they've seen up there because, of course, Blowing Rock, we know, is at the highest elevations, and they're going to get close to 6 inches in a few spots.
That would be a wonderful sight. We hope to get Brad on our live stream here shortly. I know he is trying to get dialed in to give us a glimpse of what they are seeing in the higher elevation, 6 inches there. And Brittany, I got to tell you, I have family back on Long Island in New York, where I know we have a lot of transplants here in the Charlotte area, and they are easily going to be seeing 6+ inches of snow across portions of New England, portions of the New York State tri-state region. So my sister on the phone just laughing at me when I told her, yeah, we're going to get maybe an inch, maybe two. And she's like, I'm looking at a foot. So luckily that's not us.
Yeah, it's important though. We talked about this a lot. I mean, you were helping Chris and I last week when we were talking about
Mhm.
this storm, again last Friday. It's important to remember that a lot of people in Charlotte, right, are transplants. So you might have those people from New England who are like, y'all are crazy, for worrying about driving and all that. But, people who've lived here for a while know that not only is three back to back to back snow events in 3 weekends not common. The last time it happened was 2000. But also we have transplants from other parts of the country. I mean, I moved here from South Florida. I'm originally from Atlanta, but even, just west of here, Atlanta, 4 hours west, does not get a lot of activity. So, I've talked to a few folks with AAA, over the past few weeks too. We've had so many opportunities for, cold rain and, of course, slick roads. And it's just important to remember that everyone has a different, perspective. Everyone comes maybe from a different place, and they just, kind of, you just got to give them grace, right? Especially if you might think they're being dramatic, but for them, it may be, scary sight. So you just got to give them grace, have patience with each other.
I think the silver lining is that we are talking about another snow event that is happening Friday night into Saturday morning. So, with the exception of essential workers and folks who might have to work those late night shifts, most people are
Like me.
probably at home tonight, and that's good.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Brad and I were even talking about that. The first system, right? It was coming through on that Sunday before MLK Day, and so a lot of kids were off of school already. So it was maybe a little bit easier for parents and caregivers and things like that to kind of arrange something because they were already preparing for kids to be out of school.
Yes, and now I'm just going to wait to see what this looks like tomorrow morning. And if I can get out and do a little bit more sleigh riding with my kid, I mean, that's just the icing on the cake. I wasn't expecting one, I wasn't expecting two, I wasn't expecting three opportunities to go sledding. And I got to tell you, I bought this just this month, and I think I've got my money's worth out of it, Bernie.
I agree with you. I will say though, you might have seen the photo Brad posted it earlier where it's like Instagram reality, right? With these
Yes.
snowstorms. Last week we didn't have the significant heavy rain that was falling before, which we kind of saw with this system. And we also weren't dealing with the wind. So the combination of those two, it may not look, even if we do accumulate snow, maybe as much like a winter wonderland, like it seemed to look last week, right? Because you woke up and it was so fluffy and nice. And, by the afternoon, once it was sunny, we pretty much got.
Oh, last weekend, my side of the street gets sun. The snow was gone by noon. The other side of the street, which is in shade this time of year, still had snow to dinner hour. It was the tale of two different sides of the street.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely a different, situation, I would say, than, what we got before. It looks like Brad's connection is really weak, which not a shock, right? Because of course he's up, and blowing rock, and oftentimes that comes down. Starting to get a few folks, asking some questions, so I'm gonna start taking just a few to kinda get us rolling, and then we're gonna talk to Indira Skiva a little bit more about kind of preparations and what folks have been doing there. So, uh, getting some questions about temperatures still down into the teens. Yes, it's still going to feel like the upper teens tomorrow morning. That's going to be a big factor there. Areas of the mountains, like for example, where Brad is, are going to likely be even colder than that. And in fact, they could actually see wind chills tomorrow morning in the single digits and then eventually going below zero. And that's just because we're going to see those colder temperatures combined with the wind. So I'm going to take a few more questions if you guys are asking them. We do have roads not bad. The last two storms won't be too bad tonight. Yeah, it'll be a little bit slick just because of the fact that we're seeing rain and we're seeing snow. But other than a refreeze potential both Saturday and Sunday mornings, just causing that threat for some black ice, should be good. Other than that, Gastonia not seeing any snow right now. Um, yeah, we're kind of seeing that a little bit being picked up on our live radar as well. But we are likely going to see a little bit more coming in throughout the tonight. Just a cold rain in a few spots, pretty much what we're likely seeing. Uh, Asking questions, of course, about where Brad is. Yes, he is at that. Winterfest and Blowing Rock, nothing in Wadesboro right now. Yeah, Wadesboro, you guys got a really good amount with the system last week, but unlike last week, you're not going to be kind of on those higher end, system there. 2 inches of snow on the ground in Newland, pouring rain in Monroe. Again, all of that likely going to start to switch over as we go through the next few hours. So right now, of course, we are going to be looking ahead to one of our reporters, awesome reporters we have, Indira Skiva. I know she's been doing a lot of stories there about kind of what's going on across, the cities, towns across the Charlotte area, and just kind of curious about, what's going on there. So, Indira, do you have an update for us?
Well, I wish I was where Brad was and I could show you some good snow or something, but I can't. I am in Charlotte. I think the lighting here is better. I'm in Charlotte, right outside of our WCNC studio, so kind of close to the airport. And to give you an idea of what's happening here, it's just cold. And, as James said, the rain is coming down. It's wet, it's cold. You can see it this way. Well, where did it go? There we go. You can see some wet patches right behind me here. So it's just cold rain right now. But Brittany, I'm hoping we'll get something, right? I saw we did have a viewer question where they said, why does it only snow on weekends? I have questions. Listen, as someone who, unlike Brittany, gets weekends off, it's perfect because I can stay at home and, stay warm and cozy and less people out on the road. So that's always a good thing. But Brittany, I don't know. I don't think there's a scientific explanation to why it only snows on weekends.
Yeah, if you look back at the data, it doesn't always snow on weekends. It does feel like it's been a weird pattern, but I think it's just a good reminder to remind everyone that Mother Nature doesn't know it's a weekend. So it's just happening like that, just based on the recent pattern that we've been in. Because realistically, it hasn't, only been on the same day. We had a Sunday event first, and then a primarily Friday event, and then this one's kind of a Friday night into Saturday morning. Because unlike what we had last week, we'll likely see some of it continuing to Saturday. A few folks starting to ask questions about kind of their location. So I don't know if we want to pop back up our Weather One computer so we can kind of take a closer look at that. But you can see that we are still seeing active areas of rain, of course, shaded in the green. And then we also do have some patches of snow starting to make that mix. As we do continue to go a little bit further zoomed in there, still seeing most of the heavier spots of snow up toward the mountains and the foothills right now. And then for pretty much everyone else, especially if you're in the Charlotte area and south and east, we're still seeing some rain and a little bit of a mix. But getting questions again about how much. I saw someone ask a question about how much in Shelby. You're likely out there in Cleveland County only going to see a trace to an inch. It's not going to be the biggest impact in terms of amounts and accumulations for those folks there. Ballantyne, getting some questions from Michelle. You're also in that trace to an inch range. You're right on the edge there to 1 to 2, but I do think that you guys are going to be maybe more on the side of a trace to an inch, only because areas further east of Charlotte are likely going to be a little bit higher. What time tomorrow will be safe to drive around Gastonia and Charlotte? In the morning, when temperatures are below freezing, it is going to at least have the possibility that anything that falls tonight will start to switch over to some black ice. But by the late morning, if not by noontime, you should be good. I will say the one thing to watch out for is if you're someone who's sensitive about driving in heavy rain or maybe when it's really windy, it can shake the windshield. We are going to have that as a reality tomorrow. So do keep that in mind, especially. Lincolnton, you guys are also going to be on the side of trace to an inch because you are on the west side there. North Tryon area, just some wet rain. Yep, that's likely going to switch over within the next hour or so. Statesville, you guys are expecting to get probably 1 to 2, but you guys are included in that 1 to 3 just because we have a few areas that could get up to 3 inches. But all of that light blue was still primarily 1 to 2. High wind continuing into Saturday night in Lincolnton. The wind will start to die down Saturday night into Sunday morning. So it won't be as aggressive as Saturday, but it still will likely be a bit breezy at times. Concord, same thing. You're in the 1 to 2 inch range. Waxhaw, the same as that. Brad said earlier we could get 2 to 3. Yep, if you're in that sweet spot. Yeah, 1 to 2 is pretty much the primary impact there for all of those spots shaded in light blue, but a few areas could get occasionally up to 3. Now, any the longer that this cold rain does continue, some of these totals could be a little bit lower. But of course, all of our official data for Charlotte, I just don't want to remind everyone, actually does come from the airport, which is on kind of that southwestern side of the Charlotte metro. So even if a few pockets east of the Queen City do get 3, our official data at least comes from that airport site. Monroe, you're also in the 1 to 2 range. Hickory, you're really right on the edge between a trace to an inch to 1. So you're going to get a little bit less than that. We are Rock Hill, same thing, trace to an inch. You can see, of course, all of York County are shaded in trace to an inch. How will it stick on the ground if the ground isn't freezing? Well, the temperatures, of course, have been still so cold the past few days. And so we're likely not going to see as much sticking as what we had last week, but we'll likely still accumulate some stuff going on. Really a snow threat for Groundhog Day. That is not accurate. So no, there is not a snow threat for Groundhog Day. Is it going to be safe to drive? Again, most areas should be good by the late morning, early afternoon, but we will have to watch out for some slick spots overnight, again into Sunday morning. Lancaster, you're again also in that trace to an inch. I do have that up on the screen. Let's see if anybody is asking any areas that we haven't covered yet. Is it going east or northeast? It is coming in from the northwest where the mountains are and shifting to the southeast. And then the front will pretty much merge with the one that's offshore. And that's really going to do some damage with that big nor'easter for areas in the New England states. Yeah, so we still have a few reports there, of course, of some cold rain mixing in with a few flakes trying to develop in parts of the Piedmont right now. And of course, our temperatures are going to quickly fall off. We have areas right now in the 30s and eventually the 40s. No, blizzard conditions are not possible for the North Carolina coast. We are going to see, of course, those blizzard conditions for areas of the New England states. So we're just going to walk you through a really quick snowfall potential, of course, map. Winter weather impacts. Again, our biggest impact is going to be just those slick spots leading to a little bit of hazardous travel from pretty much tonight. You can see just before midnight into the overnight hours on Saturday. Then again, by about the late morning, early afternoon, you should be mostly good to go. And then, of course, we are going to see another opportunity for some slick spots heading through the area on Sunday morning. So rain switching to snow late this evening. Temperatures drop, of course, below freezing overnight. Slick roads Saturday morning. And then we're really going to be watching out for that cold and windy conditions as we look at the futurecast wind chill. You can see tomorrow morning, so any of you are going to be up as early as I will be, we are going to feel like the teens and 20s. But then, of course, the mountains are going to be even colder than that. So just a reminder that you can send any photos, videos into our newsroom using the Near Me feature on our WCNC Charlotte app. You can tweet me, post on Facebook, send me an email with anything that you want to try to share as well. And then, of course, if you do send it to Brad, he'll try to get it. But do remember he is in Blowing Rock. So because of the service being a little bit more spotty up there, he won't probably be able to retweet and do all of those things as much as maybe typically would be able to do. Another cool thing is that if you watch our newscast coming up in just about an hour and a half at 11 o'clock, I'm going to talk about how we could see at least a small chance to see some thunder snow, and we'll talk a little bit more about why that thunder snow happens and why this potential is here with the system. So for now, we're going to leave you, but hopefully we will tune in at 11 o'clock. And if you miss it, don't forget that you can tune in to Wake Up Charlotte weekend starting tomorrow at 6 a.m. It is not going to be a big system. Again, we are just going to watch for some slick spots overnight, some accumulation. Everybody stay safe and have a great weekend.